The health of DMK Supremo M. Karunanidhi continues to remain critical as he is on active medical support at the Kaveri Hospital in Chennai. Now, doctors say it is a challenge to maintain his vitals given the age-related ailments. A large number of DMK supporters are outside the hospital and heavy police deployment is in place. We'll go across straight to our correspondent Amita, who is on a flyover adjoining the Kaveri Hospital. And Amita, if you could show us what is it that you are seeing over there, but I'm told that there is some news breaking at the moment. Well, and that's the latest coming in. All Tamil Nadu government functions scheduled tomorrow and day after tomorrow stand cancelled. That's the latest coming in, an announcement from the state over there. All Tamil Nadu government functions that have been scheduled for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow stand cancelled. This, of course, is probably to do with the fact that Karunanidhi's condition right now is critical, and as we can see over there, people on the streets thronging the hospital, outside his home, all desperate for some news of their beloved Neta. We'll go across now to Amita, our correspondent. Amita is in fact standing on a flyover right adjacent to the Kaveri Hospital, and she'll get us more details on that. That's a big news coming in right now. All Tamil Nadu government functions scheduled for tomorrow. I'm sorry, beg your pardon, that scheduled for tomorrow and day after tomorrow stand cancelled.
Well, absolutely, and that is the latest that's coming in. All Tamil Nadu government functions scheduled tomorrow and day after stands cancelled. In fact, even movies that were set to be screened today evening and tonight will perhaps be cancelled. Is the news that's coming in at this point in time, which means that perhaps, anything could happen at this point. But here are the facts. This is what we have so far. 4:30 is when a bulletin in fact came out which said that Kalangar is critical and his health is deteriorating, and after that we haven't had any bulletin yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. But we can only talk to you about the kind of mood on ground at this point. Opposite Kaveri Hospital, atop a flyover, look at the kind of crowd that has increased over the day. We've seen people come in from across the state, old and young, all emotions running high at this point. We saw a couple of people just cheer minutes ago when they saw a huge poster of Kalangar being, put across right here at the flyover, whistling and extremely happy and enthused, looking at just one poster. So you can imagine how excited they would be to just capture a glimpse of Kalangar. So there's a lot of hope at this point in time, despite the fact that at 4:30 we saw a bulletin which said that Kalangar is critical.
And Amita, very quickly, I can also see there is significant police deployment over there. If you could take us through that, Amita. Amita, if you can still hear me.
We saw a letter, in fact, come in from the DGP saying that across the state, where people had said that, police officers across the state had to be beefed up, and that is exactly what we're seeing right on ground. Police security forces in the middle of the crowd. We also see towards the corners of this road, all the road entrances and exits at this point have been blocked, and there's a lot of tension on ground, but security definitely beefed up.
Right, Amita, thank you for those details. And quickly, let's go across to Shrija, who is in Gopalapuram, outside the DMK chief's residence. Shrija, we believe there is significant police deployment over there as well, and that there are crowds thronging Gopalapuram also. Right, Shrija, if you can hear me, Are you seeing significant crowds outside Gopalapuram as well? Because that's what we were hearing, that there are a lot of people who've come from across the state to inquire about the DMK chief's health.
Well, Kavita, now this is the entrance of this particular road that we are talking about, the Gopalpuram residence as far as Karunanidhi is concerned. Now, this particular the entrance has been especially made for some of the DMK cadres. Apart from that, only for the VIP movement is what we are looking at. So, which means clearly we see that the common man has been asked to take a detour. And you can also look at for a fact that the kind of the police deployment is here from all the special forces, from higher rank officers to lower rank officers, all have been deployed at this point in time. But remember, it's not just the Gopalapuram residents that we are talking about, but also especially where the officers have been deployed right before Kaveri Hospital. Now, to talk about here, apart from the police deployment, if I could also ask my camera person to pan to the left, there are people who are gathering right before this particular stretch of road. Now, remember, at least about 1.5 kilometers, the entire stretch of road has been completely cordoned off, where only the vehicles of VIP can move. Now, that is only movement which has been restricted to the VIPs at this point in time.
Right, Shrija, and Shrija is getting us updates over there from outside Karunanidhi's residence in Gopalapuram in Chennai. But coming back to the studio where we are joined by consulting editor Vinay Tiwari, and we are also joined by Jawahar Nadar, who's our assignment editor. In fact, to both of you, I want both of you to explain to us what we are seeing on our screens. Now, it is not rare to see this kind of emotional outpouring for a leader in Tamil Nadu. But Vinay, if you could take us through the kind of politician that, Karunanidhi is. He is a towering figure in Tamil Nadu politics.
Yes, he is. And I think more than just being a towering figure, Karunanidhi has been, has been the flag bearer of the federal political system that we have in India. I mean, remember, India has had a fairly monochromatic kind of a political environment where the dominance of the center over the states has been absolute, even though we enjoy a federal system. But Karunanidhi did something different. He not only led the federal charge, but he's also led the federal charge for the south of India, which for a very long time, most states in the south tend to believe that the Hindi-dominated North Indian politics tends to ignore. And that's where his politics, which came out of the Dravidian movement, pretty much rooted itself in anti-Hindi movements, in the anti-Sanskrit, anti-Brahminical, anti-upper caste. That the entire range of his politics was perhaps, in many ways, being the flag bearer of what one would say, the importance of states or the importance of the small parties in India. Remember, one very important fact, but I think most of the people who who follow North Indian politics may not realize, in an era when Congress dominated the political map of India in the 50s, his was the first party which actually showed regional politics and the power regional politics that could have happened. And that in many ways has been a trendsetter till as we speak this year. I mean, the importance of states hasn't been felt more than it is now being felt in 2018, Kavita.
Right, and in fact, I would, come to you later to talk about the kingmaker role that Karunanidhi has, played a lot of times. But Jawahar, let's talk a bit about Karunanidhi, the man. He is much more than a politician, which is what a lot of the north of India would know him as. But there is much more to him. He's one of the most iconic literateurs in a way, in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, Kavita, like you rightly said, apart from being a towering politician, he has always been an artist. He has always been a very good scriptwriter. He has written a number of novels. The fact that he is called Kalaignar is because he was one of the artists, who actually gave birth, who actually molded and even nurtured many of the actors, actresses. Such Shivaji Ganesh in 1952. The towering hit, one of the biggest hits of the film industry, Tamil film industry, was one of the biggest one of the biggest hits was Parasakti. The thing is, Parasakti was very different in those times, because what we saw was it was very much against the Brahminical movements and the Brahminical acts of those times, and then it was a very different kind of a film which was actually trying to put forth the Dravidian movements, the Dravidian activities, the Dravidian types of things that he wanted to showcase. And then
All right, I'm going to interrupt what Nathar was saying there for a moment for the news that's coming in. The DMK Supremo, one of the tallest leaders of Dravidian politics, M. Karunanidhi, is no more. Information coming in from Chennai. He passed away at the age of 94 in Kaveri Hospital in Chennai. Five-time Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Karunanidhi suffered from several age-related ailments and has been in hospital for several days right now. The crowd swelling outside of that hospital. We must realize for the rest of the country what this man meant to the state of Tamil Nadu. He was elected into state assembly at the age of 33 and he has been in active politics for most of his adult life. He's 94. He was 94 today as he has passed away. A political career spanning more than 6 decades. News coming in that Karunanidhi is no more. And this is news that while most people will find heart-wrenching in the city of Chennai, it would not come as a very big surprise because we've seen movement right through the day, police being brought in, bandobast, actually being arranged for in the city of Chennai. The family's movements were being tracked very carefully. About half an hour ago, we heard that all government events for tomorrow were cancelled. It's very likely schools will be closed as well. But while we wait for more information, on details of how the day will progress tomorrow, this is what we have right now. That M. Karunanidhi has in fact passed away. Some of the interesting things about Mr. Karunanidhi: won every election he has ever contested. His demise will leave a massive void, not just in the DMK, but in Tamil Nadu politics altogether. I think this is the first time since the Patriarch movement that Tamil Nadu is void of a big leader, and also leaders who have not clearly picked their successors or clearly groomed their successors. Visuals on your screen of a young Karunanidhi who started his career as a scriptwriter. Joining me on the phone line right now, Suman C. Raman. Mr. Raman, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, massive void now, a terrible day for the state of Tamil Nadu, but a huge void this will leave of a leader.
Oh, absolutely. It's an end of an era. I mean, somebody who's been around in politics for more than 70 years, who's been a 5-time chief minister of the state, and who's been towering like a colossus over the political scene, not just in Tamil Nadu, but for a sizable period of time over the last 2 to 3 decades across India as well. Remember, the DMK was a very important part of the UPA between 2004 and 2013. Yes. And earlier on, they were also part of Mr. Vajpayee. They've also, Mr. Karunanidhi's influence has been national. It's not just been regional, but in Tamil Nadu, clearly it's a huge loss. And I think it's the end of an era of, within 2 years, the two main players in the Tamil Nadu political space have both passed away. Ms. Jayalalitha in December 2016, and now Mr. Karunanidhi in August 2018. So, I think both of them leave a huge void. Mr. Karunanidhi is, not just as a politician or a political leader, but also as an thinker, as an extremely shrewd, a political personality, as a writer, as a very, very sharp-witted person that he always was. So I think it's a huge void. I think it's a huge loss. It's the end of an era.
Mr. Raman, there has been some confusion and some talk about whether or not Mr. Karunanidhi would get a final resting place on Marina Beach. The CRZ rules have been brought in, some sort of government clearance from the centre. But given the role that he played in the state, do you believe that it should be considered, at least, a spot on or a space on Marina Beach from a point of principle?
Clearly, there is no doubt that is where that should be his final resting place, provided the family is in agreement. Mr. Karunanidhi's mentor, Annadurai, is buried on the Marina, and so are MGR and Jayalalitha. I think that the important thing is next to the Anna Samadhi, as it is right now, there is adequate space which is available on one side. So, I don't see any reason why that should not be selected, provided, of course, that's where the family wants the final resting place to be. But certainly, I mean, there's no doubt that, he deserves to be, interred along with the the other legends of the state.
And Mr. Raman, on one hand, we saw post the passing away of Jayalalitha, the former chief minister of the state, there was a fair amount of confusion in the party that she left behind, the AIDMK. Do you believe the DMK is better prepared for the void in leadership right now? Do you think that they have someone who can obviously not fill the shoes, but at least hold the ship together?
I think for a very many number of reasons, the DMK is better prepared. One is Mr. Karunanidhi was not clearly in active politics for the last 2.5 years. It's been Mr. Stalin who's steering the ship. So that is one. Second, the party is not in power, unlike Ms. Jayalalitha, where, the state administration sort of ground to a halt because there was no designated successor. So here the situation is totally different. Mr. Stalin is in full control of the party. The party is solidly behind him. He has basically been running the show for the last, effectively for almost 3-4 years. So it's only 2 years that Mr. Karunanidhi has not been in active politics, 2.5 years. But Mr. Stalin has been running the show for the last 3 to 4 years. And I think that I don't anticipate any significant issues, unless, of course, Mr. Aragiri, his estranged brother, wants to get back into active politics. Otherwise, I don't see any issues. The party is solidly with Mr. Stalin.
Mr. Raman, please stay with us. I'm just going to go across to our reporter, Pramod, who's live right now outside of the Kaveri Hospital. Pramod, obviously, we saw the crowd swell over the last hour and a half because this information was perhaps expected, although everyone was dreading the moment. What is the mood in the crowd right now? What kind of police bandobast can you see outside the hospital where you are?
Well, it is very unfortunate that the hospital has finally declared, as we predicted, another last and important press release from the hospital, Kaveri Hospital, which has stated that by 6:10 p.m. the DMK chief has passed away, and they say that they are expressing it with deep anguish. The entire area is covered with police right now. The DMK cadres are completely broken down and they are crying. It's a very unfortunate incident to see over here what is happening. But the point is that the hospital has finally declared the DMK chief, the 95-year-old Karunanidhi, as dead.
Pramod, outside of that Kaveri Hospital, we can hear from what he's saying, obviously, that there's a fair amount of commotion and noise there, but we do know that the Chennai police, the Tamil Nadu police has been on alert for over 24 hours and have all perhaps reported to work. Shrija also standing by. Shrija, if you can hear me, what update can you give us?
Well, I'm standing right outside Karunanidhi's, in fact, Gopalapuram residence. What you're looking right behind me is the heavy security deployment at this point in time. Now, remember that ever since the news broke as far as Karunanidhi is no more, we see that the people have started to swell even more. We are looking at both the entrance where the police have right now barricaded at this point in time, not allowing especially a common man to enter except for the VIP and VVIP movement is what we are given to understand. And on the other stretch of the road, what I can show you over here is especially where over 500 loyalists from DMK cadres to supporters have all joined right before his residence, shouting slogans for Karunanidhi. Now, remember, like I said, he has been one of the last political greats here in Tamil Nadu, having a great political career. Apart from that, what we are also looking at this point in time here is there is a huge congestion at this point in time where the common man have been asked to take a detour. They are also, especially the police, are trying to tell the common man to move out of this place, because remember, it can be a tense movement any time, any point in time. A protest can break out. So clearly we see the tense movement, especially on the faces of the DMK cadres as well as the loyalists who have gathered here. The police have in fact joined hands together. It's not just now that we're talking about, but across Tamil Nadu, all across the districts, you can see how people have gathered here to shout slogans for DMK cadre here.
All right, Shrija standing by outside of Karunanidhi's residence. And you can see supporters there. She's also said that there's heavy police bandobast, and you actually saw the police clearing the road and telling people to back away. Reading out the press release that has just come out from Kaveri Hospital, the press release says, and I quote, "With deep anguish, we announce the demise of our Kalingar DM Karunanidhi on the 7th at 6:10 p.m. Despite best possible efforts by our team of doctors and nurses to resuscitate him, he failed to respond. We profoundly mourn the loss of one of the tallest leaders of India, and we share the grief of the family members and fellow Tamilians worldwide. Signed, Dr. Arvind Selvaraj, Executive Director of Kaveri Hospital in Chennai. Joining me on the phone, Pavan Verma, JDU of the JDU. Mr. Verma, thank you for joining us. Like has been pointed out by all of our previous panelists who were just talking, Mr. Karunanidhi was not just a leader of Tamil Nadu, but also a key player in national politics. All right, K.C. Palaniswamy from AIA-DMK on the phone line with us right now. Mr. Palaniswamy, my condolences to you and other citizens of the state. And while AIA-DMK and DMK were always rivals, I do understand that there was healthy respect for both leaders, Ms. Jayalalitha and Mr. Karunanidhi.
Yeah, Dr. Kalengar is a tall leader, and he has created, he has identified many prime ministers, and he is a national leader. And though ADMK and DMK has differences in ideology, but fundamentally both arise out of the Dravidian movement. And next to Perari Anna and Mr. MGR, definitely Dr. Kalengar has led the Dravidian movement for more than 50 years. That is history for Tamil Nadu.
Well, there is also some confusion about whether or not he should be given a final resting place at Marina Beach. Do you want to weigh in on that decision?
No, not.
And what is your message? What is your message right now for the citizens of Tamil Nadu?
No, there is no. The Tamil Nadu has lost a great scholar in Tamil and a tall leader who worked for more than 50 years, who led the Dravidian movement for more than 50 years. So definitely it's a loss for the entire state.
Mr. Palaniswamy, do you believe that there is now, after the passing of Ms. Jayalalitha and Mr. Karunanidhi, a sort of leadership vacuum in the state?
No, there are enough people to succeed them. Definitely, no one can match it to their calibers. But certainly, there are quite a number of people who, on their footpaths, capable of taking forward with their respective parties.
And your message right now for the people who have gathered outside of the hospital and outside of Mr. Karunanidhi's residence, is there an appeal for peace? Because ideally he would have also wanted the day to go by as calmly as possible.
Yeah, definitely. See, that way all the DMK cadres and the people of the state and the ADMK cadre, we are all matured. Definitely they will maintain a very peaceful law and order situation in the state.
Absolutely. And is there any information you can give us, Mr. Palaniswamy, about whether or not schools will be open tomorrow, or whether any sort of functions or offices will continue to function tomorrow?
It is definitely, normally when a former chief minister is passed away, the state would declare holiday to the schools and colleges. It's a normal practice in the state.
Okay, so it is likely that the declaration of a holiday will come in the next hour or so, although it has not come yet.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, Mr. K.C. Palaniswamy of the AIA-DMK, many thanks for joining us on the phone line. That's Mr. Palaniswamy of the AIA-DMK. Just to give you an update for our viewers who just tuned in, Mr. Karunanidhi has passed away at 94. And this, as you can see, the visuals on your screen, the live visuals that you can see, is what Chennai looks like right now. It's extremely tense. There are a lot of, a lot of supporters who've gathered at the streets. Our reporter Pramod, we have one reporter outside of the hospital who's live, and another one outside of the residence of, of Karunanidhi's family. And we'll bring you updates as soon as we can get them. But security, from what we tell us, has put jammers on phones, and that's one of the reasons why we're not able to connect with our reporters right now. But we will bring you updates. It's likely that schools will be closed tomorrow. We've also have an update right now. The Prime Minister has tweeted. The Prime Minister has said, deeply saddened by the passing away of Karunanidhi. He was one of the senior most leaders of India. We have lost a deep-rooted mass leader, a prolific thinker, an accomplished writer and a stalwart whose life was devoted to the welfare of the poor and the marginalized. End quote. That was a message on Twitter from the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Joining me in the studio, Vinay Tiwari, senior journalist and consulting editor to the Times Network, and senior journalist Jawahar Nadar as well, who has considerable experience in the state of Tamil Nadu. Vinay, unfortunate news, but not news that we were not expecting. Also, it did give the police in Chennai enough time to sort of gather themselves and be prepared.
Yes, and I think obviously this is something, I mean, his condition was deteriorating. There was marginal improvement in the middle. But obviously with the deterioration, the administration would have been prepared for the worst. And I think it also, even the people who've been camping outside the hospital for days and days on end and would have kind of mentally reconciled to the fact that he's 94, not in the best of health, and that they would be preparing themselves for the worst, which has now finally happened. So yes, the anticipation perhaps, or hoping against hope maybe, but obviously, remember he's been out of public life for almost a year because he's been very unwell, with only some sporadic spurts in between when his health had improved. But largely, his health has been bad enough for him to be out of public life, a life which was frankly extremely public and extremely critical in the politics of India.
In fact, Vinay, we have Ganpati Subramaniam right now, senior journalist who joins us on the phone line. Mr. Subramaniam, thank you for joining us. Obviously, it's going to be a grim day in Chennai and perhaps even tomorrow. But what are you expecting as a reaction from the public? Because normally in Tamil Nadu, we see a very a sort of emotional outburst from people when a leader such as Mr. Karunanidhi does pass away. What are you expecting from the public over the next 24 hours?
A couple of days, it's going to be tears and cries everywhere. No DMK cadre can accept or is in a position to emotionally understand and accept that a person who is 95 years old cannot live anymore, that he has breathed his last. They won't accept. Even when he was in hospital, you would have seen how they were crying outside the hospital, asking him to come out, get up and wake up and come out. That is what they were crying all the time. So that's going to continue now. They are going to be inconsolable, and entire Tamil Nadu, including the city of Chennai, is going to come to a grinding halt tomorrow. I'm sure all business establishments will close down, and schools, offices, nothing will function except essential services. It will be a big day of mourning. You can expect every big political leader, including the Prime Minister, to visit Chennai and offer condolence to a leader who has seen so many prime ministers and presidents and such a long political life. I don't think any other leader in any other state would have had such an illustrious, long career. So therefore, tomorrow it's going to be a situation of emotion, which has already started right now. Whole night and whole day till he is laid to rest. The whole city is going to be in mourning, especially the DMK cadres are going to express their feelings in a very, very big way.
Mr. Subramaniam, also, like you said, it's going to be a day when perhaps the biggest leaders, the political leaders of the country are going to visit Chennai. For our viewers who are possibly too young to remember, would you please, tell us what you remember of Karunanidhi's career when he started off as a young man, moving out of, screenwriting or working in the films into active politics at the age of 33. What could you tell us about his career?
It was about 50 years back that he became an integral part of the Dravidian movement. And when the DMK came to power in 1967, remember 1967, my God, he was a very, very important part of the party. And within a couple of years, he was in a position to take over as the chief minister of the state when Mr. Annadurai, who was then the chief minister, died untimely death. Therefore, that time onwards, he has faced every crisis, every storm for the DMK and for his personal political career with the kind of courage that no other political leader has been able to match. They only admire him to say that every time there is a crisis, he faces it with courage and comes out of it. That has been the kind of long-standing political life that he has had, it is full of struggle and full of fight. But he always never gave up and said, "I'm going to fight till the end."
Yes, please stay with us, Mr. Subramanian. We have Radhika Sarath Kumar join us on the phone line as well, an accomplished actor and also very active in public life. Radhika ji, you've just tweeted saying Tamil Nadu and politics will never ever be the same again. You also said about 10 minutes ago that it's a dark day for us and your mind is full of the memories of the tall leader. Could you tell us a little bit about your experiences with him and any interaction you might have had?
We go back a very, very long time. In the sense, his association with my father. My father is the person who gave him the title Kalingner. And from then on, we've been like family. And when I came to movies, I had the honor of working in his works, like where he attended most memorable dialogues. And it was such a pleasure to act with him. I mean, under his his dialogues. After that, I was one of the main the campaigners during the 80s. His comeback after 14 years, I was campaigning for him for the DMK. Although I'm not a party member, I campaigned because I believed in him. I believed in the Tamilian spirit. I believed in his ideals at that point, and I was so happy that when he became the chief minister. And from then on, I share more of a family and relationship with him, more like a daughter. I've been very, 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 very close to him and his family. I still am. It's very. There's no words to express what I'm thinking right now, because he is the root of all that pride. What the Tamilians speak about. It's that sort of pride and the way he inspired us to move on. I have seen him when he has won the election. I have seen him when he lost the election. Never would he be cowed down by anything. I mean, that is a spirit which I learned from him. Never. I've seen him, when he lost the election, I went to his house, he was sitting alone, and I was thinking he will be upset, but he was actually, encouraging us to be more positive, to fight back, and says now you have more reason to fight back and more reason not to be cowed down by anything. I remember all these words, and his sense of humor, unparalleled. You cannot beat his sense of humor. His command over the language, his command over, the way he thought.
Yes.
He was absolutely, never going to be another person like him. Never.
And Radhika ji, for the viewers who are watching from across the country right now, who are obviously not familiar with with the beliefs and the connection that Mr. Karunanidhi had with Tamil pride, with the Dravidian movement, is there anything you can tell the rest of the country as to what he stood for and why he meant so much?
Yeah, even more than, whatever I've known of him personally, even more than, saying my party has to win, he would say never once that people should forget that they are Tamilians and that the Tamilians should forget themselves, their sense of responsibility and what they need to stand for, and to be, high among everybody. He always instilled that first. Then he would talk about the party. Then he would say, yes, the party has to win. He'll always would start with talking about Tamilians, and he never incited, racism of any sort.
Well, information.
He never said,
Yes, information coming in that shops are being closed right now in the city of Chennai. Bus services between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are being suspended tonight. And we'll bring you more information as and when we get it. We don't have an official announcement on whether schools and colleges will be closed in the city of Chennai so far, but we're expecting that announcement any moment. Radhika ji, if you're still with us, obviously for the last 4 decades nearly in Tamil Nadu politics, it has been Jayalalitha versus Karunanidhi, Karunanidhi versus Jayalalitha. With the absence now of both of these leaders, is there a sense of a vacuum or a sense of something missing?
100%. There could not be more words put into anybody's mouth at the moment in Tamil Nadu. It's such a big vacuum. Not because, for decades it has been MGR, it has been Kalaignar, it has been Jayalalitha or whatever. It's that vacuum is going to be there for quite some time. I really feel, I think, it's so empty. I don't think it's going to be the same anymore. You'll just see some half-baked jokers coming along, that's all.
Radhika ji, thank you so much for speaking with us. Radhika Sarathkumar there, an actor who joined us on the phone line. Her father worked with Mr. Karunanidhi and gave him that name of Kalaignar, and of course, like she said, she was like a daughter to him. And we have responses coming in.
Faced the Congress in 1967. A great organizer. He had many other minuses too. He was very vindictive with any political rivals. He ran the party with an iron hand and he promoted his family. So these things put together, one can say that we have to look at it, the balance of his political career. And the balance is that he has dominated Tamil Nadu. He changed the rhetoric and he changed the narrative from purely cosmopolitan all India narrative to a purely Tamil narrative. And but he made adjustments as he saw the mood. He gave up secession. And he also had a bad patch in the supporting of the Tamil terrorists, the LTT. So even though in his heart he was not for them, but still he thought that this is something should promote Tamil separateness. So all in all, he was a versatile man. He could write beautifully, he speak beautifully, organize magnificently. So he was truly a political personality. करुणानिधि और उनका मेरे जान पहचान 1974 से थी और इमरजेंसी का उन्होंने विरोध किया था और बड़ी उनको यातनाएं हुई उसके और के बेटे के साथ लेकिन उनका जो भ्रष्टाचार पर एक नरम जो स्वभाव था उस कारण से जो स्टेट इतनी क्या बोले वैसे इतनी शुद्ध थी कामराज के
That's the responses right now coming in, Vinay, from across the country. This one is one that people of Tamil Nadu will be interested in. Rajinikanth has spoken and he said, today is a black day in my life, he says. Let me just read that out. Today is a black day in my life, one which I can never forget as I've lost my Kalaignar. I pray for his soul, says Rajinikanth on the passing of Karunanidhi. Mr. Amit Shah says, I express my deepest condolences and I pray to the Almighty to give strength to Karunanidhi's family and followers at this hour of grief to bear this profound loss. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From Amit Shah. And we just read out the message from the Prime Minister as well. Well, let me also bring in Mr. Kannan, who joins us. Mr. Kannan is with the DMK. Mr. Kannan, first of all, my condolences to all of the party members and the cadre of the DMK who are obviously going to be distraught today, and the family members of Mr. Karunanidhi. Is there a message that you want to give the citizens of Tamil Nadu and the citizens of the country on this very, very somber evening?
To us, it is a very, very sad day. He symbolized the party's ethos, what the party stood for. He was like the symbol of the party, the sun. The sun was set. He was one of the tallest sons of modern India. And his legacy would always be remembered by not just the Tamils of Tamil Nadu, not just DMK party men and women, but Tamils all over the world, because he was a leader who rose above that of his party and I think stood for the interests of the entire Tamil community of the world. It is an extremely sad day. An era has come to an end.
Mr. Karan, for the people watching across the country right now, the Dravidian movement and the movement of social justice and social equality is perhaps not very well understood. But for the people in the south and specifically in Tamil Nadu, the movement to remove caste discrimination has been a change not just of lifestyle but the quality of life. Could you explain to our audience why the Dravidian movement, specifically changes led by Mr. Karunanidhi, has meant so much?
Well, our leader Karunanidhi was the last link to the Justice Party, which was, which stood for which had engineered the social change in the early 1920s. And what has happened with the Dravidian movement's rise to power is that the social pyramid has been inverted. Once the DMK came to power, it was the party that, until then, the corridors of power were frequented by industrialists, landlords, and landowners and the landowning classes and the gentry and so on. In 1969, when the DMK came to power, it was the era of the common man. It was the first time that the common man had been empowered. It was the first time that the majority of the Tamils, who are of a backward nature by social stratification, Dalits, and so on, felt a sense of ownership and that they had arrived. Today, Tamil Nadu is one of the leading states in the social indicators, health, education, infant mortality, etc. This is what the Dravidian movement stood for. It has completely overturned the caste system, because the leaders, especially Mr. Karunanidhi himself, comes from an extremely a small community of a small community that had an ambivalent social standing.
Yes. Well,
yes, go ahead.
Mr. Karan, forgive me for interrupting you. Just to bring our viewers some information that we're picking up right now, the Prime Minister will travel as expected to Chennai tomorrow morning to pay his respects to Karunanidhi, the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. We also understand that it's likely an ambulance with Mr. Karunanidhi's body is likely to leave from Kaveri Hospital towards his residence at Gopalpuram. We still don't know the details of a funeral or where his body will be laid in order for people to pay their respects, and we know that there will be thousands of people who will want to pay their respects. There is a message from Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, former president as well. He says, deeply saddened at the passing away of M. Karunanidhi, 60 years, a legislator, 5 times Chief Minister, a pillar to many coalitions at the centre. He influenced his state and national politics like few others. My deepest condolences to his family and his admirers. He will be deeply missed. And I believe among all of the messages that were put out, this perhaps does most justice in sort of representing everything that one man did in such a massive career. Vinay?
Yes, and I think a lot of people perhaps who are in the north who may not quite understand how Tamil Nadu politics works, I think the easiest way to understand or to draw a parallel, for lack of a better one, there were a lot of similarities in the reverence or the stature that, say, an Atal Bihari Vajpayee enjoys within the party. I mean, there were a lot of similarities between them. Both were intellectuals, both had a taste for the fine arts, both had an appreciation of poetry, both could write poetry and recite it, and both were extremely good orators as well. Both were also the masters of not saying something and actually responding with a poem or maybe with a couplet if they had an uncomfortable answer to give.
Yes.
So there were a lot of similarities between the two. The other similarities were both were people's person. In the many ways, they had the ability to carry along people. I'll give you a small example, Faye. Something that journalists in Tamil Nadu will tell you, that when Jayalalitha was unwell and she was pretty much bedridden and was not active in her work, it was Karunanidhi who kind of told his cadres not to take advantage of her ill health. I mean, that's something that the local papers have been reporting, and that's the kind of personality that he had, where he would actually actively ask his cadres not to take advantage of that.
Well, there you have it. There is the Chief Minister of the state has offered his condolences. The Prime Minister to travel to Chennai tomorrow. We're expecting several Chief Ministers of various states to also fly in. And without seeming too ghoulish, the DMK is part of the Mahagathbandhan. And we saw them all congregate the last time at the swearing-in of Mr. Kumaraswamy in Bangalore. It's likely that all of them will be in Chennai tomorrow.
They will be, but Faye, there is something more important. Look, all through since the early 90s, or maybe late 80s actually, when the coalition politics in India actually arrived, apart from there were just 3 people in the country who really laid the foundation and were the architects of the maturity of coalition politics in India. One was, of course, Harkishan Singh Surjeet from the left. The other was A.B. Bardhan, and the third was Karunanidhi. These are the people who actually crafted and stitched together the idea of coalition politics and ensured the harmony between various constituent partners who would come together for a coalition. From the VP Singh era to finally the UPA 1 and 2, which Karunanidhi was an important part of, to even being part of the Vajpayee government in between with the NDA. Karunanidhi has heralded and led the idea of coalition politics in India, and hence all the responses that you see today and all the chief ministers who perhaps will reach Chennai is a tribute to the man's ability to stitch together opposing sides together in an opposition and bring them all together under one umbrella.
All right, so the body is, from what we understand, not moving to Gopalpuram. When it's moving to CIT colony, which is Kanimori's residence. We're going to perhaps get a visual of that ambulance leave the hospital, and you can see right now on your screen those are supporters standing outside the hospital who have been waiting there for a really long time. They're going to be inconsolable. CIT colony, it will go to CIT colony first, which is Kanimori's residence, one of his daughters, and after that it will go from there to Gopalpuram. There's also a message now that's coming from Congress President Rahul Gandhi, who says, loved by the Tamilian people, the Kaligar strode the stage of Tamil politics like a colossus for 6 decades. In his passing, India has lost a great son. My condolences to his family and also to the millions of Indians who will grieve their beloved leader tonight. So that message coming in from Rahul Gandhi. We also have Jawahar Nader in the studio with us, who's also been tracking state politics for a very long time. Nader, you're Tamilian. Your father left, in fact, the state of Tamil Nadu in the 50s to escape the caste system, among a couple of other things. And we know that, there was a phase when people from Tamil Nadu went to Malaysia, they went to Singapore, they went to Burma. They left the state because the caste system was so crippling. And people from across the country might not understand why it is so important that these leaders who fought that caste system, how much do they mean right now for the people who live there?
What I would like to point here is Karunanidhi, Periyar and all these people, they actually tried to abolish the caste system, which was very much dominant in the state of Tamil Nadu in particular, because there were people who actually tried to see to that these people followed their caste, anti-Brahminism, all the practices that were followed, it was always opposed by, but then since that was a time when not many people could actually fight it, then many of the people from Tamil Nadu had to go, like you rightly said, to other parts of the country, other parts of the world, Burma, Sri Lanka and other places to earn a living. So it was only after the entrance of Periyar, who is also called as Tandai Periyar, Tandai meaning father in Tamil Nadu. Yes. So he paved the way for a Dravidian movement wherein the caste system was slowly being abolished. So that was a time when people were actually thinking like, that it's also possible, because there was a time when people could not even think that such a thing could be possible and we can even talk about such things. So Tandai Periyar was the one who actually paved the way, and then people like Karunanidhi and other people who joined them. And then there was a time when slowly and steadily the caste system, the movements, the Brahminical movements and the system was slowly being abolished, and the kind of equality, humanity was being brought in, wherein people were made to think. Actually, there was a very different, education was being played a very important role. K. Kamaraj, who was the CM of Tamil Nadu from Congress, then he also played a very important role in seeing to that all the people, the downtrodden, were given a way to education.
Given away to education. And we will come back and we'll talk about it. We have a lot of questions coming in about the atheism and the role that atheism played, or the color black, and the role that the color black played in this entire Dravidian movement. We're getting reactions right now coming in from across the country, and other leaders and other politicians. Take a look.
He was nationalistic to the core, and that was his strength. He's a script writer, and he wrote the script, executed it, and that was his strength. He was a unifying force for South of India and North India. He's not a loss just for Tamil Nadu. He's a loss for the nation. One of the tall leaders, few tall leaders left in this country. This soul will be remembered not only in Tamil Nadu, but across the country.
60 years in the Tamil Nadu Assembly, and he got elected in all the elections which were fought by him. And he had good relationship with the opposition party leaders also. He respected everybody, and he gave importance to the opposition, all different ideology peoples also. His demise is a big loss for Tamil Nadu and the whole country.
Well, we are saddened by his demise. He was a tall leader of the country, not only of Tamil Nadu, of the DMK. We offer our condolences to his family, to the people of Tamil Nadu. Karunanidhi ji, for over 5 decades, played a very major role in Tamil Nadu politics and in national politics. He has left his footprint. His contribution has been truly historic, and that shall always be remembered with respect.
It's coming in from Mr. H.C. Devagowda, former Chief Minister of Karnataka.
Not only the country, outside the country, so many admirers. Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Ceylon, so many admirers, and this is one of the major tragedy today for all is the people who loves him. One of the greatest shock, and I can only say a regional leader who stood up to the national level to provide a stable government. It shows his maturity, statesmanship. So now he has left all of us. We only pray Almighty to what we call the moksha, whatever we believe, to soul, to rest in peace. I pray Almighty. And the family members to control this shock. It is very difficult. We can say few words. The pain and agony and the love and affection of the family members. It is not so easy to console them. I only pray Almighty to give a strength for them to take this great shock. I can only say that much. We can't say beyond that.
Sir, how do you see this matter of Kaveri proceeding ahead between?
No, both the parties, even DMK and not DMK, both were very strong to protect the interest of the Tamil, the farmers. Both were strong. There is no difference whether Anna DMK was in office or DMK was in office. Both the parties came together, fought together to protect the interest of Tamil Nadu. That's my bitter experience.
So that was former Prime Minister H.D. Deve Gowda, I beg your pardon for the error I made earlier, talking about the statesman, the politician, the leader who has been lost today, M. Karunanidhi, who passed away at the age of 94 today. We understand that the space that has been asked for is Anasara, is the Anna Memorial, and no, this is the official statement coming from the DMK. Placed a request with the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, no official confirmation yet from the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. One wonders what the deliberation is about. They've asked for a burial place at the Anna Memorial, and they've not received an answer so far. That's where we are at this point, and one would assume that they'd want that answer as quickly as possible, because if the Prime Minister is visiting tomorrow, the SPG is going to want details of where they're going to have to go, what routes they will have to take. These are things that are decided the previous, at least a day in advance. So the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu doesn't have too much time to actually sit on that decision. He's going to have to decide. Take a look at the life and the contribution of Mr. Karunanidhi right now.
M. Karunanidhi, a man who donned many hats. Politician, playwright, screenwriter, and an author who was also a self-proclaimed atheist. A powerful voice of Dravidian politics, Kalaignar Karunanidhi first became the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister after the demise of Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam founder and leader C.N. Annadurai in 1969. Karunanidhi served as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu on 5 separate occasions. In a political career spanning more than 6 decades, Karunanidhi won every election he contested. But he faced stiff political opposition from one-time friend MGR, doyen of AIA DMK. Ironically, MGR's first big break came in a Karunanidhi scripted film. Kalaignar's political career began at the age of 14 by participating in anti-Hindi agitations. A few years later, he formed Tamil Nadu Tamil Manvar Mandram, the first Dravidian student organization. Karunanidhi was first elected to the Tamil Nadu Assembly at the age of 33 in 1957. With MGR backing him, Karunanidhi became the DMK Supremo and the Chief Minister. But their camaraderie did not last long. The power tussle that followed ended with MGR walking out of DMK to form his own party, the AIA DMK. Karunanidhi suffered multiple electoral defeats against MGR till 1987. But he became the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu once again in 1996. In the 2014 elections, critics had written him off on account of his failing health. But he proved them all wrong. However, his last days were marked with disappointment. Politically, the party faltered. Personally, his family faced several corruption allegations. He was also witness to a bitter power struggle between his sons, M.K. Alagiri and M.K. Stalin. Karunanidhi's demise has created a void, not just in DMK, but also in Tamil Nadu politics. It remains to be seen who will be able to live up to the larger-than-life legacy of Karunanidhi.